Right. All right, we're gonna get this show on the road, and as other folks come in, and they will be coming in, we'll pop them on. Just wanted to let everybody know that we are recording a show. There's possibility some of this or all of it will get posted at some point in time, but just giving you all a heads up on that. But more importantly, I wanted to talk today about AI. It's a topic I truly don't know a lot about. As a matter of fact, I had to look up AI through an AI tool. But it's not going away. It's not a fad. It's not any of that crazy stuff that people used to think about the internet. It's here, and it can be a tool. What the biggest fear I think people have, especially in the car business, is that anytime something new comes up in the car business, we're like, oh no, what this is we're never going to be able to do anything with this. This is just going to slow us down. This is going to create a problem. This is just another step in the process. All of that. And what happened? I mean, look at video MPI. Fuck. Remember when computers, like, oh, I can't possibly use this computer. I can't possibly do this. Oh, a service drive walk around process. I'm not doing that. Oh no, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. MPI, what is that? Video MPI, get out of here. And all of those things have turned into great tools for us. And I think AI is just another one of those things. I don't think it's here to replace people. I think, the service industry, the service end of the car business, especially the service end of the car business, is still a person on person business. I think personal interactions still matter. But I do think that AI is going to change the way we approach those interactions, because I think those of us who excel with it will be armed with better information. And one of the questions I had for that is, when a customer calls in, and all of that logistics and all that information you can gather from that phone call that AI gathers, sorts, and then distributes, it's amazing. So there was nobody else I really wanted to talk about or talk to about this more than Wendy, because Wendy hosts a show, or co-hosts maybe a show called The Human Side of AI. You know, she knows about how AI is working in the business, how it's affecting the business. She's not building AI. She's using AI as a tool, and she's here to talk to us about using it as a tool, especially on the service side. From BDC to service to parts, everything about it, we can use AI, and we would be fools if we didn't listen. So at this point in time, I'm going to mute the Titan who's snorting, and I'm going to let BDC Wendy take it away. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your assistance and for promoting the show as much as you did. You really blew it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And guys, I'm so honored to be here amongst you. Most of the time, I joined this community, gosh, I want to say probably a year and a half, maybe longer ago. And many of us met in Tinley Park, and it's just been a fabulous ride. I have the utmost respect for each of you and your roles and the value you bring to us as humans and to our industry. So I got to say that I'm really humbled. Secondly, I'm a person. Joe said it perfectly. I'm not building AI. I'm not this or that the other way. And by the way, MFT, thanks for stealing my thunder again. Just kidding. So got to give you a dig because you're good at digs, and I know you're going to give me a couple later. So I want to explain to you guys what my journey is and a little bit about me for those of you that don't know my passion and my mindset and my excitement. And I even use it in my trainings when I train BDC agents. And that's the main thing that I do. I like to, first and foremost, I want them to consider options. I want them to be well informed. I want them to understand the why behind everything that we do. I want
too frozen to work on.
All right. What? No, go ahead. That was Sarge talking about his vehicle he's working on. It's all right.
Okay, cool. That's cool. All right. So I want to make sure that they understand the why, and I want you guys to understand the why, and where we've arrived at what we've arrived at with our Human Side of AI group. We tell our customers, hey, Mr. Customer, the hardest part of my job is getting you in the door, and once you get here, you're going to feel like a kid in a candy shop. You're going to have that many options. That's what we do on the sales side. Same with the service side, something similar. But point is, I want to tell you how we started the human side of AI. So early on in my career, I worked in the back of the house, all the positions from title clerk, where I used to put our whole inventory in little police books, to
Police
warranty
books.
clerk, to remember that. And somebody could give me 8 digits still and say, hey, which car is blah, 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 blah. And I'd say 2012 Hyundai Accent SE, whatever. So I was that good with numbers. And I was that good with strategies and figuring things out as well. Everything from accounting adjustments to you name it. So I got everything on the back end. Then I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. And believe it or not, my controller at that time used to bring me paper ROs to do CSI calls at night while I was raising my kids because he didn't want to leave me off the leash there or untie that string there. I was with the Amato Automotive Group on and off for like 30 years through Mr. Amato Sr., where John S. and I joined right out of college, to John S. to now JR is there. And I left them in 2012. But point is I always want everybody to understand the why. So I'm going to explain my journey to you because I want you guys to understand AI where I am and where I understand and where we've come in our journey. There are a number of people in the room that are founding members. Russell Hill is one of them, and we welcome his contributions, and we're happy to have him with us as well as we all kind of navigate the AI frontier. Okay. So I will say too that strategy is kind of my jam. Like when I was back selling cars, my last year in car sales was, believe it or not, my last month was March of 2007, but I did deliver 21 Hyundais, 20 new and one used because I was after that star money and working my pay plan, right? So, but they called me the working man's friend in my dealership because I worked more for the customer and getting a good deal, et cetera, because I knew that sometimes we just needed to move units. So you do whatever you do to make the customer happy, find him what he needs. So I've always been about the customer experience. So much so that when my GM walked me and my sales manager into a double office where he had kicked out the VP the day before and said, here, Wendy, make me a call center. My finance manager, GSM, said, great, now you can get your hands out of my damn pocket. So I'm really good at selling appointments, not so much the data and stuff. Admittedly, that's like my brother from another mother, Sean Armour's jam, is the data and diving deep into that. Me, I like to figure out the why, and I'm a MacGyver of things. And if you're not converting, if your showroom, if your service lane is not filled, if your showroom is not filled, then I need to look at the data that others have compiled and say, boom, this is where you're lacking, and fix it. So that said, about 8 months ago, we started talking, and another person in the same space as us had found an app and was teaching herself how to use AI, and that was the early adoption of ChatGPT. Since then, it has evolved quite a bit. So I'm not going to bore you with the kind of AI there is, although I do have a document. I do have some great documents I'm going to share with you for you to consume after the show, and some information, thought-provoking facts and feedback, etc., from our 6 months now of weekly rooms in Clubhouse called The Human Side of AI. So we started, nobody knew. So we decided we created a forum in a place in which people could come. The short of it is to educate and be educated. For us to, people fear change. They fear tech. They fear a number of things. So we decided that it was going to be a free give and take type of community where anybody and everybody in the automotive space for now, but I didn't call it human side of AI in automotive because I'd like to delve into other realms. I mean, this is getting big and it's going to get really, really big, you guys. So I encourage you to join us. And we're building a website, and we're going to have podcasts. We're going to have a blog where you can ask questions. And we have a very diverse number of co-hosts that I'm going to give you a little teaser on here. Let's see here. I'm going to give you a checklist for finding. It's okay if I share here, Joe, I'm assuming. So
Yep.
let me share my
You have
screen.
the power.
And I'm going to show you that we've got a really diverse number of people that is with us on the human side of AI. And we all bring something different to the table. And the same as a dealership, you've got people wearing different hats, right? So collaboration to me is just absolutely, the collaboration just is music to my heart, I guess. I just, when I get even a mastermind or a discussion with one other person, and I'm excited at the prospect of what we create together and the thoughts that come up. So, all right. So problem is I'm having technical issues. My mouse is not cooperating with me. So while I'm working on that, I'll read them to you. So some of our co-hosts are, I launched this idea and then I asked a number of my friends to join. The initial ones were me, Martha Alvarado from Wondery's Toyota, April Simmons from the Horn Group, both close friends of mine, Sean Armour, Kaylee Filio, Tim Hayden. If you don't know Tim, he's a brilliant mind in our space. You need to get to know him. Zach Kolemsky, who was formerly with ATS Global, but Zach I've known for a number of years as well, and his journey. And then we also brought on, we have, as I said, Russell Hill. We have Jennifer Sanford of Sanford Marketing Group. We have Hunter Swift. We have Peter Smith. We have Woozy Rogers, ATS Global. We have Jared Kilway, formerly of ITOM, and Grace Scott. So it's a really diverse group. And we just started coming together on, hang on, let's see if I can do this.
There you go.
Tell me if you see this. There we go. All right, so this is what I'm going to give you guys. This is a toolkit for evaluating solutions. I'm going to give you all that. And what we've done is we've learned a lot. We've evolved. We have a PowerPoint document that we keep with basically notes that Jennifer Sanford compiled for us, and we add to every week. That tells us what we've learned in our journey, the definition, the different types of AI, how you would implement the various kinds, and basically that's what it is it's exploring our passion for an unknown frontier. Because like I said, guys, if you look at the history even of BDCs and even the relationships between sales and service, we all continue to say that our business is all about relationships, right? And it's about the relationship with between the people within our dealerships and the customer experience, and it's all relationship based. It shouldn't be task driven or any other way other than relationship based. So this is something that I believe that slow adoption to AI. I think a lot of people close their ears to it because they fear the tech or they fear change, right? And unfortunately, there are many that are still not only some OGs that don't want to change, but some young people that are set in their ways and they don't have enough information about others' perspectives within the dealership and within the industry to understand a different way of looking at things. And to go back to what I said, the biggest thing I teach is that we're ultimately, and then it's me and my hashtag, stronger together or people helping people. From the top down and the bottom up, we're all helping one another and ultimately helping a customer make a decision on servicing or purchasing an automobile, right? So we all need to understand each other's perspective and understand the tools that we're given, understand how to use those tools. But we also have to understand that AI is not to be feared, because what do they say? Change is ugly in the beginning, messy in the middle, and beautiful at the end, right? And we all know that, regardless of the hat that we wear. So what I'm suggesting is that we need a place where we can all just kind of come together and for 6 months it's been kicking it around and offering perspectives from dealer to vendor to trainer to whatever, and to GMs to how we can utilize these tools. And we've been educating one another and we've been documenting our findings. So that's where we have, like I said, we have this checklist. We're also going to have let's see here. We will also, how do I do that? That's how I do that. We're also going to have, like I said, we've got this human side of AI document, which we started 6 months ago, that went from definitions to resources like our discussion about use cases for AI and automotive questions, vendor guidance, and this all goes back to August. more CRM solutions, human capital tips for dealers, open AI platform, sites where you can go and educate yourselves on this. So it's just a great collection of information where we're going. And mind you, a lot has changed in the last 6 months. So it's important to know that anything I tell you today may very well not be valid 3 months from now because it all changes and we don't know. But we fear that which we do not know. So we're working to educate one another so that we can embrace it, so that we can utilize it, so that we can affect change in our dealership, in our service drives, and in our showrooms. Okay. So that said, what we've discovered is that, like, what's the value add for you guys? The value add for you guys is, like I said, I'm going to give you the history of our room. So if you so choose, you can digest the entire thing. I'm going to give you a toolkit that tells you about internal discovery, which is really, really super important, vendor checklists, and your dealer checklist, things you need to get uh, in place before the decision and the purchase and implementation of an AI solution. Okay. And then we've got, let's see, I'll have to pull up a different one. I think this is, let's see, the checklist and the toolkit, I think are pretty comparable, but the checklist and toolkit. Okay. So they've kind of edited docs on me, but at any rate, this is what we want to talk about. So go ahead. Was there a question or just a unmute?
No, you're good, Wendy. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So BDC. Let's start with the BDC in the service department, right? So what's happening right now in our BDCs? What's happening with our inbound calls? What's happening? What are some of the pain points? Because before you decide what you want to do with AI, you have to decide what your pain points are within the dealership. Number one, right? What are you looking to do? Are you looking to take care of the high drop rate because you've got 30% of your callers are hanging up because nobody's answering the phone when they're trying to set a service appointment? So you figure, okay, let me have either a phone product or a texting product that will get first engagement if they click a button or a CTA on the website, right, to schedule a service. Or they get frustrated because they can't figure out X time. So they have like something like auto service AI or whatever, where they can click a button and they can text with someone, they can get an appointment scheduled. But the problem therein lies that if they had a problem with the scheduler, what good is it going to be for me to send a text to take that customer back to the same scheduler that they just got frustrated with and couldn't understand? I need a human, right? And how many of us have screamed into our phones? Human.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Wendy, because Ray just in the chat just now said he's had a significant amount of pushback on AI from his customers so far. So it's interesting you bring that up right now.
And also Sean Butler posted that on LinkedIn when you did the first
That's
teaser
right.
for
Yeah, he
this
did.
week's call. He said it was a small dealership, they don't want to adopt it. The problem is they're not prepared to adopt it, and they weren't told. A GM or a fixed ops director made a decision, and they did not include the team. They did not, either in the education of the opportunities or the discussion about solving the pain point, right? How many service advisors that are in the trenches are really frustrated because they know what they need in their service department, but their service manager is not listening to them, or the fixed ops director is not listening to them, and they can't get to the right decision maker. So, ladies and gents, include your teams in the decision making process. If not the decision making process, I get that from a GM or a fixed ops director standpoint. However, when you do that, share that with them. The same as you share anything else, the same as you share a new tool, a new diagnostic, a piece of diagnostic equipment, whatever it is in your service lane. Obviously, you have to onboard and explain and get the buy-in of the people using it, or what's the point, right? And in that, you're going to explain the why. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was gonna say I think a lot of customers, when they realize it's an AI, it's like when you call somebody on the phone and it rings and then you get their voicemail, but they answer it like, "Hello, please leave a message." So you're duped. You think it's the customer. You think it's a person you're calling. All of a sudden, it's a voicemail. I think that's what happens with a lot of people when they're dealing with AI. And to your point, Wendy, I think when the customer or when the employees don't understand, first of all, employees don't understand the purpose of AI, right? They don't understand what it's there for, what it's supposed to do, because management did a poor job, or management doesn't understand it. What the poor, what the initial response is supposed to be. What is AI there to do? Well, AI is there to support your decisions, right? It's there to support your decisions on how the process goes, so it can bucket everything in there in a more efficient manner than your people can, so your people can do what they do best, is actually deal with people, right? Or am I wrong on that?
No, you're absolutely spot on correct. And that's what the human side is. The human side is bridging the gap. Okay, so remember when BDCs came about 20 years ago? Sales feared the BDC because they thought we were taking their jobs, right? And then you had to bridge the gap between sales and BDC. Then you've always had to bridge a gap between sales and service, because we don't understand what's not in our own wheelhouse. We don't understand it. And if we're not engaged in the conversation and learning together, we don't get it, so we don't understand it, so we fear it. So there's always been a gap. Well, now we're having to even bridge the gap between the tech and our people, because BDC or salespeople think that, or whomever, even when we started service BDCs, when I started my first one 15 years ago, the service advisors thought they were going to lose money. No, if they take my calls, if they set the appointments, then I'm not going to make as much money. Baloney. You're going to not be addressing your full voicemail that somebody's screaming at you to empty out about the customers you didn't get back to. And you're going to be able to have them set LOS, et cetera, recalls, whatever. So you can do more upselling on the drive. That's what the beauty of what it is. And the same thing with AI. So AI is used as a tool for engagement, in my opinion. Plain and simple, tool for engagement,
What
in my
are
brain.
Wendy, what are some examples of the engagement you've seen with AI? And because I mean it's and like in this, and I stole this right off of AI. This what you're seeing on the screen here. Much of this post, I just took it right from AI. I wanted to see what it would have to say for a car dealership. But some of the engagement, what are some examples on how we can use AI to bet? Excuse me, dog. On how we can better free up our employees to take care of customers.
So I'm glad you asked that, because I think this is an incredible post, by the way. And I was going to tear it
Thank you.
down piece by piece. So if you guys want to reference
Let's
it,
go. No,
I'll
that's
go
that's
into each.
perfect. I mean, because it
Okay,
does
all right, great.
categorize it and what we can do. So
It
yeah,
does. It does. Okay, so AI powered systems can optimize the appointment scheduling by analyzing service bay availability, technician skills, and customer preferences. This ensures efficient use of resources and reduces wait times for customers. For me, that goes beyond and bleeds into the next step for diagnostics and such, because I've seen everything, guys. I've dived into so many products. Even the ones that we saw last week, I can't remember what the name of it was, and I feel terrible, and I hope the provider's not on the call. But where they actually like get into your camera system and they're seriously watching everybody on the bay, where all the staff is in the service department, where the people are in the waiting room, analyzing the times to do certain operations, what's available, how long it's taking for this, how long it's taking for that. That's going to help set up all that. However, the AI, that's the background, that's preparing, that's making sure you know what your availability is, so that you don't overschedule, right? So, but what it means for this is, then another interesting piece for the appointment scheduling part is, on our call last week, we had a guy from Ford Direct, and he might be on the call. Welcome if you are, Trent. Um, and an interesting observation from a number of his dealers is that one of their main KPIs was the workforce reduction. I mean, how about the R1, guys? How about the bottom line? How about how much more money you're making in your fixed ops department or variables? I mean, the workforce, seriously? I mean, it's like when somebody flew me to Manila in 2020 to look at an outsourced team that was working their leads at a Mitsubishi store, and their KPIs are notes written in the CRM, emails sent, text sent, phone calls made. What about the conversion to a shown appointment? What about the traffic that walked through the door? To me, that's the bottom line. Is what's my bottom line? So don't don't cut down your workforce. Don't even look at it like that. That's ridiculous. What you do is you look at repurposing your workforce, and instead of them answering calls and returning missed calls because you can't possibly get to them as fast as AI can. How about working your database? How about doing your CSI calls to ensure you're going to get good CSI scores that nobody does consistently? How about looking at missed appointments, calling them back 10 minutes after they're late or whatever to reschedule them while it's still front of mind? How about this and that and the other? Repurpose them, give them the meat and potatoes instead of worrying about lead gen. How about working the leads you got right there in your DMS? You're sold but not serviced, you're serviced but not sold, your recalls, your SOPs, your anything that you want to have that outreach with a human being, let them do all of that that's piling up. Your conquest calls, your this, your that, the other. I mean, we're going to be able to use AI to scrub our lists better. For me, every time a dealer hires me to do outbound service retention calls, they're like, well, what can you offer me? I pitched a large group last week and he's like, well, what kind of statistics can you offer me doing my data mining with the list that I provided? And I said, well, in all honesty, Mr. Customer, it's dependent upon the quality of your list, number one. And then it goes on from there. And you can't judge an inactive 18 months service call with a recall statistic, right? Something that's absolutely got to be done for their vehicle, that's paid for, that's covered by warranty, et cetera. You're not going to get the same stats. So point is, AI is going to help for us to have more purposeful engagement so that it frees up our talent at the service desk and in the BDC to give better customer service, essentially through outreach. Hey, I noticed you haven't been in with your vehicle for 6 months, 6,000 miles. I think you're overdue. We have this, and then I offer them a $49.95 LOF with an MPI, video MPI, and blah 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 blah. What we do, but it's going to get you in front of those customers that need the work. They just need that little nudge, and you're going to sell more work. So that, Joe, for me in appointment scheduling it's about the engagement, but it's also about making sure you got the human set up to catch the ball when someone is screaming, I want a human, because they don't understand the AI. And then do objection and rebuttals with your team that touches the phone when they get those complaints. Battle them, don't ignore them. You can't bang them over the head with AI and expect them to adopt it. But at the same time, I talked to a guy with a phone system that's a CTO with a telephony system yesterday for 2 hours. And we were talking about the fact that there's so many things to look at. And I just lost my train of thought. We were talking about the fact that I totally did.
No, it's
because I was
okay.
letting my brain get ahead of me.
It's all right.
The whole
One of the things, Wendy, that I think is crucial in this, and what you said is, we need to let the folks, that are doing, we need to let the folks do the calls that matter, right? We need to let them
right.
do the jobs that matter, the human on human calls that really need that to maximize that human experience. We need to do that, but we also need to make sure that the AI is following through on the lesser tasks, if you will, that it's doing. So I think, in something like this, the setup's going to be is huge. And I know AI it's a learning tool, right? And I think Jerry Davis said it, and Haley followed through. Not a lot of people give AI enough time
No,
to learn. However, let's call it what it is. Do we really want AI learning on our customers? I don't. I don't want
no,
AI
absolutely
learning on
not.
my customers, because if that happens, then they're already pissed off. To Ray's point earlier, they're already pissed off. So we need to figure out a little bit better way to do that. And it's still early in the AI game, so maybe there's going to be a better way coming down the pipe, but we need to make sure that we do that.
And we've got a pretty good way right now. To go back to the point that I was remembering is he was telling me what they do is they do call review, and now we're even working on a little Wendy avatar that that can go in and not only evaluate the calls like all the call review companies are doing now, but it's also going to offer the coaching. If your engagement is low or you didn't overcome a certain objection or whatever, it's going to be able to role play with that agent to figure out what the solution is for the next time. It's going to be looking at things like, if they didn't convert your person to an appointment, did they turn over the call live to a second voice to stress the importance of the op you were calling about, the service, recommended service that you're calling about. And a lot of people are the same people that are hesitant or just closed mind to AI, interestingly enough, are the same people that have problems with accents sometimes when some of our staff have accents.
Yeah.
It's not limited to outsourced call centers. It's limited to people that are just, they're not going to do that. So you can't speak to those people. What you have to be able to do is you have to be able to defend the AI, and you have to be able to understand it to be able to defend it. And that's when what's going to get adoption from your customers. When you explain to them, Mr. Customer, this way we can get you the first time you call, and you don't have to hang up in 3 times frustrated because you can't get through to someone, to a human being. Our AI is simply designed to help engage with you, and then you have but to ask, and we'll put a human on the line for you immediately. But then do it. Have your infrastructure set up that you're going to do that. This is why churn. You asked about numbers. When we were in our call on Wednesday, I got a number of stats from Steve Ressler at Drive Centric, and out of 100 dealers that they surveyed, they found roughly a 5% appointment setting increase based on the addition of AI. However, when you think about attrition, when you think about like how many dealers are trying it and then they're offboarding it right away because of a couple customer complaints, they don't understand it, or maybe they didn't have the human on the other end. It's important that you police the AI. You have to have a human being watching the responses and making sure when it glitches, because it will glitch, because you're teaching it, that you're there to pick up the ball and you're there to fix it. You have to be there, because that's what's going to make it fail if you're not prepared within the store. But interestingly enough, what's happening is people are offboarding it because they have too much of an increase in appointment scheduling that they weren't ready for, and they don't have the bays or the tech or the hours on the schedule or the accommodations to support the customers that are setting the appointment. So again, it's setting up for a worse, not even a good customer experience, a customer experience that's lacking because you can't accommodate them. So do you piss them off because you can't get through to them the first time they call, or do you do it because now you have AI? But guess what? It's not helping them, and they're asking for a human, and there's no human there to catch the ball. Russell, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, really more just a comment of how I all got started with this with Wendy and the human side of AI. And it's everywhere. For the most part, it resonates with most of us from December 2022 when OpenAI or ChatGPT actually hit the talking points. And obviously in the last 14 months, it's really accelerated. So one of the reasons the room was established for people that have AI products, which you'd be surprised, 37% of people that tout artificial intelligence, it's not even artificial intelligence. It's just pure programming. Okay. But it's moving so fast, and the greatest transference and use of information is taking place before our eyes. So I want to be a part of learning as much as I possibly can about it. And obviously you do as well, but it's already everywhere in our dealerships. We may not even be familiar with some of the places that this kind of stuff is happening, but the premise initially, which it seems to be morphing, is that we're talking about and remembering there's a lot of people right now that are signing up for all kinds of different types of AI, from variable to fixed and all points in between. And most of it is shit. It's not working. They cancel it almost as fast as they sign up for it. And the reason they're doing that is because it's not communicating with the existing system, because OEMs and franchises, et cetera, are so silent with the information. So it's creating actually sometimes way more problems than it is the actual solution. So part of this is vetting people that are coming in. They're talking about what kind of product they have, what it does, what pain point, and the feature advantage benefit, if you will. And then there's other people in the room, dealers, that start asking questions and find out that really, in fact, what you got is a headache waiting to happen. And it serves actually no purpose at this moment. But I mean, this is evolving very, very fast, and soon it will communicate and actually ease a lot of the pain points that we have, or the bottlenecks we have. And that's how all this got started. So it just keeps growing and growing and growing, remembering that people think technology, AI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but to always remain steadfast that there's a human side of it, that it doesn't work without that human side. So I just thought I would.
No, I think you're right, Russell. I mean, it's about setups too, right? If you,
Yep.
because here, if you're AI, if you go into an AI install without really having a game plan, which is, I mean, let's face it, we're car dealers. That's what we do at 90% of our life anyways. We just jump in and say, we'll figure it out as we go. Who has a written plan for anything? And then you put something as complex as AI in there that's supposed to help you. What happens? Just like any other program, you bail on it because nobody understands it. Everybody's afraid of it, and it doesn't work. And the designated purpose of it, in Wendy's situation, was never laid out. So, you're going, well, okay, why are we doing this? This is just costing us money. What are we doing? It's costing us money, pissing off customers, pissing off employees, so we bail because of ridiculously poor planning, like we always do in the car business. It's terrible. And this is a key example of how we need to do better with that.
Exactly. And let me go through the rest of this really quickly so we can move forward to the checklist. But that's exactly what it is. I mean, I encourage you guys, we created the human side of AI page, company page in LinkedIn, and questions, this, that, while we're erecting a website with a blog. But any questions you have, take them to that channel, and there are people that will respond. I'm trying to blow it up myself, little close adoption even within our ranks, because I don't think even our members see the value of this community yet. But diagnostics and troubleshooting, you guys already know about that. With you've used that AI and diagnostics and troubleshooting for quite some time now. So I'll leave that to those of you that know more about the tech side of that. Parts inventory management, clearly, and Kaylee speaks, and I know it's a bad word to you, Joe, parts, but just kidding.
Wait a minute, who
But
let Kaylee in here? Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa,
right.
whoa. Slow down here. This was an AI conversation. Well, I guess artificial intelligence would probably include parts. Go ahead.
So customer interaction and support, um, answering questions about the appointments, the pricing, the vehicle issues. Again, all this amounts to is engaging with the customers, guys. Break it down. They're not going to solve the problem. They're not going to do the objection, the rebuttals, the this and that, unless you teach it to. But it's engagement, because you can't, if you don't engage with them, that's half the battle with BDC, with everybody. You got to be in front of the customer, and you got to be able to start that conversation to be able to explain to them how you can solve the problem that they have, right? So that's all it's about. Don't be scared by it. Trying to do your job. It's simply trying to increase engagement first and foremost, in my mind. All right. Recommendations. Yeah, you can give based on the data that's compiled, like driving habits, et cetera, your tires. How many miles do you typically do in the mountains of Arizona before you've needed to have your tires replaced? Or, those types of things. And it can give recommendations. Lead management, same thing. Prioritize leads on their likelihood to convert. Certain things that are simple questions about, can I schedule an oil change or this or that or the other? Yes, train your AI to do that. And then you need more, then you do the handoff to the live person. There's magic in a TO, whether it's from a service BDR to a manager to a service advisor to answer a technical question, or to a sales manager in the sales end. If the BDC is doing anything more but vehicle availability and starting a credit app, and you need a TO to a live person, bless you. That's the magic, is in the TO, is in the let them do at the high level what they can do, right? The simple things that they can knock out. But if somebody's way down deep in there and needs human interaction, then have it there and have it ready to give it to them. Okay, so that's part of what the fear is. Like I say, it's fear of the tech, that it's going to replace your jobs, take away your jobs. It's not going to take away your jobs. And you know what? If AI can take away your job, then you're probably not doing your job right. Right. So guys, feel free to raise your hand and tell me if I don't see one while I'm going over this.
Well,
But I'm going to
actually,
jump.
I want to touch base. Marshall said that he's got AI in his tool trucks based on some, and I think that's looking more for safety and that sort of stuff. And if you're obeying policies for your insurance company, that sort of stuff, if I'm correct, Marshall. But technicians on here, I wanted to touch base with the techs. Are you guys seeing AI on the tech side of things? Is it, or maybe not seeing it now, maybe it's coming, but I want to know if anybody's seeing anything with diagnostics and, a virtual tech tool, if you will, that's assisting, you guys on that. You don't gotta speak a lot. You can put your comments in the chat or whatever, but I'm really interested in that because I think it's going to change the way I think techs are the position of AI when it's involved with service is underrated on the tech side because I think it's going to have a bigger impact there than I think most of us really think about it. Marshall, go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's been Cummins has been using it for quite a while, so like they're
Okay.
using it to help us. Okay, so you get a fault code, and then you put that fault code into your diagnostics session with Cummins, and there may be 8 possibilities for that failure. It's gonna have you check those things, and each person inputs their checks, and then it automatically figures out what is the most likely failure. So then it will have the next technician check that first next time. So the more people that use it, the more quickly we are able to find the failures in our diagnostic procedures because it's always learning what is the most common failures. And then it has the technicians do that first, and that's why they, and they're not the only ones that are doing it. I know on my side, Cummins is doing it, and then PACCAR is doing it. A very similar system. I wouldn't be surprised they use the same people, and that's something that I'm seeing, and they've been doing that for quite a while. And then, like with my camera stuff, the camera stuff is pretty crazy because, like, it is mainly safety stuff though, but it's also giving back positive stuff so that, and it reports everything to our management team so that they can say, hey, you avoided a collision, somebody merged into your lane, and you properly braked and did everything you were supposed to do. And then they give us out safety awards. And I think they did this year. If you had no like negative reflections, then the company gave you like a $500 bonus.
Oh, there you go. So AI is paying you. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks
That's
a lot,
awesome.
Hal 3000. Hey, Richard.
Hey, so when I worked for Ford, they were getting into AI only on the when you had to get a hold of TAC or technical assistance. Same with Nissan. It was their way of vetting stupid questions like how much oil does a 5 liter take? What's the oil filter torque? Because that's the type of shit that they're getting all the time. Technicians are opening just stupid cases, so they're using AI to vet all the lazy text that should be actually going through and searching SI. So that was Ford and Nissan. GM though, they like pushing a ball up a hill as much as they can. So
Yeah, in talking to some of the tech panels for the manufacturers that I work with, or not the tech panels, but the technical assistants and everything at these shows or conferences I go to, one of the things they're always talking about is how their people collect all the information from all over the country and compile it for best practices. Well, what the hell? Why would you not jump onto an AI tool that would do that for your people? So that AI tool, like Marshall was saying, that AI tool takes all of that information from California to Florida to Illinois, takes all that information, pulls it into a resource that's actually functional. Well, the actual technical assistance hotlines and those sort of things are actually talking to technicians to help them, and then they can actually reference it. But they're not. Everything's still doing things the old fashioned way. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I mean, I get it. Um, I understand totally what you're saying about, pushing a rock up a hill.
Or let's look at it as the difference between getting your information out of an encyclopedia or on the internet.
That's a good analogy. That's a great analogy. Richard, I'm sorry, go ahead.
when does the OEM do anything easy?
Yeah, amen to that.
Well, which all due respect, like I've got my own thoughts about things, and it's been coined Wendy's take and Sean Welch, so we'll keep Wendy's take out of the conversation that's being recorded. Just kidding. But just the idea that they want to look at it as first and foremost, can we reduce our workforce? Why do we want to reduce our workforce? If we're going to grow, if we're going to move things to the next level, if we're going to increase the business in our service drive, why do we want to cut down the people? How about let's find a better way for these people to strategically, like in Sean's term, I don't even know if he's on the call, revenue generating, right? Revenue generating BDC or whatever.
Right.
BDC in essence, that's what it is revenue generating. That's why we call it business development. But point is, why do you want to get rid of the people that are the human effort that is engaging with your customers? I had a guy at a dealership in California call me, Wendy, I need an outsourced team to work my leads. My outsourced BDC just fired all their agents and they're going full AI. Okay, well, that's kind of the other end of the extreme. But the point is all these things, whether it's like, gosh, Marshall, you put some fabulous things in the chat. Everybody put great things in the chat. The point is that you have to understand that it's here to help. We have to evolve. We have to change with the times. It's not going away, guys. It's not going away. So the more you learn how to wrangle it, how to put reins on it and be able to steer it to where you need it to help you. And to Jeannie's point, sorry, one more point, Joe.
Yeah.
To Jean or Jeannie, forgive me if I mispronounced it. I did because I said it twice. But your idea that don't let your onboarders, don't let your AI team rush the onboarding. If you don't get it 100%, you don't move forward to the next stop. Because once they launch it and their PM is helping you get used to it and this and that and the other, it's not a set it and forget it. They need to hold your hand for at least 60 to 90 days to make sure you're policing the right thing. But you have to be able to go somewhere like the community of the human side of AI to say, hey, I just did a launch with, Stella or Auto Service AI or Numa or whomever. And this is what's happening. Is this right? Do I need to know anything else? And we'll give you an answer to that question. Because it's neither a red or blue pill, nor is it a set it and forget it. You must train it and you must hold it accountable the same as you do your humans. That is key. And don't rush the onboarding or the launch simply because you need that red or blue pill because your techs are starving and you need more business in your service drive.
I think some of us need a little blue pill. Hey, Larry Feldman, I want to grab you, but I do want to listen to the parts folks as well, because there are some pretty cool tools that, I mean, and Parts has been using AI for a while, at least more of a programming aspect, and now I think they're getting into true AI. And not only does it help with parts ordering and everything, I heard it's helping with the phones too. So if you've got some experience with that, I'd really like to hear from you there. Larry, go ahead.
I just was going to indicate that I think it's so crazy that they're not using it more in service, and that they don't understand on the variable side that the one thing that AI can't do is empathize. I mean, it can put together a ton of information, but if it's not connected with a human being, I just don't know where you're going with it. Whereas with service, you're disseminating information to make it easier to get a fix or to tie things together. You would think that they'd have a little more balance, but unfortunately, the OEMs tend to follow the old GM dictum, which was ready, firing.
Ain't that the truth? And Russell, hey man, I get it. Your comment in there about preaching the sole purpose AI and you're right. There is a lot of trying to get rid of humans and everything, and I think part of the problem with AI is that's a stigma. And I mean, it's part reality too, is that, I mean, the AI is going to replace some jobs. AI is not going to replace a service advisor. AI is not going to replace a technician. But I think it's definitely going to help. But we have to figure out how to get that done and how to talk about that, because hurry up. What'd you say? Hurry the fuck up and get optimal. Optimus functional, so we don't need humans in the shops. Well, you know what? Maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, look up
That's a future
Optimus
thing.
Robot. He's going to be awesome in the shop. You guys are going to love him. It's going to take care of the problem of having to deal with me. And yes, y'all going to love it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for a robot fixing my car yet. That's for sure. Robert Charbonneau, go ahead.
Yeah, I think with the AI, one of the biggest things that I see that hopefully comes along pretty soon is that the API connections and stuff allowing you to connect more of the pieces together. You know, like Mitchell has had for years where, you know, when you go look up a repair or a problem in their diagnostic, it has the number one repair and all of those types of things. I think things like that would be great for us when we're writing up customers with diagnostic issues so that we have an idea of how much work could be involved in this. So the customer feels like we really know what we're talking about. You know, typically of this problem, here's what happens, and here's the 2 or 3 things that we may be required to do. You know, just get that information to us so we can use it intelligently with our customers. And that means, just like you said, connecting a lot of pieces out there, you know, because they're there, but who's going to, okay, hold on one second. I look up this thing on another software program, and then I look at something else on another software program. Well, if we could just get that stuff kind of meshed together, it would really help, like with BDCs and stuff, to be able to not have to pass that over to a service advisor, give the customer an understanding of what they might be looking for in an area, so they schedule in and know what to expect.
I tell you what, I don't know if the rest of the service guys on this call, if their hair just stood up about having an advisor with AI on the drive, saying, well, hey, 90% of the cars that come in have this particular problem. It's going to take this much. Holy cow. I don't know if that's a good idea. Having advisors diagnose it, because they would absolutely jump in and diagnose the problems right on the drive. Wow, what a fucking nightmare that would be. Holy shit. I get what you're saying though, Bob. I mean, to use it as a
for us
tool.
to control, though,
Yeah,
the
exactly. It's a function
narrative
of management.
of
You're right.
how those tools are used, because you're exactly right. You give somebody something and they've got in their mind that it's going to do things that it's really not going to do,
Yeah.
and not what we expected it to do or what our expectations are for them, how to use it.
Agreed. And some of the guys on this panel here, some of y'all talked about using AI for just simple stuff like creating processes in your drive, helping you with processes, helping you with job descriptions, helping you with some of the other stuff. I don't want to I don't want to overcomplicate the AI thing right now, because we're jumping to replacing humans, but there are actual tools that you can use for AI, or for to better your business with the help of AI. Wendy, in your experience, in creating or using, what is the most success you've had in working with an AI?
Well, some of the early ways I started using it is, and if you want to see how it works, you can go to my website at bdcangels.com/AI. Is I use a bot and I have this one programmed primarily for Mazdas. I have all the maintenance schedules for Mazdas in there. But like if my agent is on the line making data mining calls and wants to know, how many miles should I do this or that or whatever with my Mazda, they put in the question and it'll respond. And then they don't necessarily have to 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 me if they've got that information right there. If they baffle the AI, then it's something that I need to write in. But it's created with like millions of characters and programmed. And I like that for aiding. That I really like. And the other adoption I have seen is just that the engagement. And let's face it, guys, let's look at when you're looking at AI products. I have to put this in there kind of as a cautionary item, is that you have to make sure that is it really AI, and if I get the right understanding of the term used in automotive, putting lipstick on a pig, if it's an old product that really has had no development in 20 years, and they're simply slapping the name AI on it, but it's the same thing they were doing 15 years ago. And I won't name names, but they're out there. Then, you know, be aware of exactly what it is you're shopping. And the most, I would suggest the texting ones and the regular service appointments and lessening the churn. Because another thing that they're working on with inbound calls, in the inbound call arena, our biggest thing is drop calls, right? Everybody who's shopping for a BDC or a new phone system or this or that is the drop rate on the phone. And even me, without AI, my team can get it down to less than 10%. No problem, because we're there and we answer the dang phone. So engagement, again, is key. Engagement. So that's my answer all day long is engagement. It aids in engagement. It engages in getting your customer and then whatever it is, if it's a little higher level than oil change or recommended maintenance or this or that or specials, then try a different kind of outreach, but it's engagement. And many have used it for responses to emails in lead management as well, which you can do that too. Another thing, and beware of this as well, you're all getting these things from whether it's, I'll throw a bunch of names out there, so just to be fair, whether it's Car Wars or Call Review or say Call Source or the old Who's Calling or whatever it is, where they've been transcribing your calls for years, but now they're putting in analytics and they're letting you know based on the keywords you provide what we should say, what we shouldn't say, and how we performed in that area. But problem is they're forgetting the human side. What human at the store is actually looking at those numbers? And what human, if engagement is low, if conversion to appointment is low, who's looking at it? Who's saying, oh, we're not engaging enough leads? Well, a PM would say, you need to engage more, you need to convert more people to appointment. Okay, but how do I do that? So that's the human side. That's having the person who's going to look at the analytics and who's going to make the coaching decisions to make your team better, to make your humans better. Because if your humans are lacking, the machine's not going to fix it.
Charles Cannon.
Yeah, this is a great conversation about AI, and I want to get some feedback. I used a company called Numa. I did a free trial for the last 90 days, and it was a great experience for my parts department. They loved it. They were able to get a lot of stuff taken care of as far as phone calls and texts with guests.
Imagine, I bet the
But
phones
service,
got answered for once.
the phones got answered, yes, but with service, it did not work well. You know, to be fair, a lot of it was because we our IT department wouldn't let them integrate with our CDK due to privacy reasons. But overall, it hasn't been a good experience for our guests. They did not like it. Just a general consensus. I do think there's a place for AI, and I think it's coming, and we have to adapt to it. But you just got to find the right company and partner to make sure that
Charles,
they're taking care of business like they say.
Charles, how do you know the customers didn't like it? What measurement did you use? What, I mean, was it just a feel or?
The multiple phone calls I got to my desk or emails or guests seeing me in person in service that they didn't like it and they didn't like the experience.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, there was actual human feedback from the
Yes.
AI. Okay.
But here's the thing, and here's my thing, Charles, is my personal goal, if I never worked another internet lead in my life, my personal goal is to learn how to be that glue between the tech and the people and to be able to be there and hold your hands for 90 days during that trial. And I'm not an employee of the company, nor am I the person who doesn't understand it at the dealership level. I'm the person with the BDC brain that's looking at the information and the feedback and saying, okay, well, if this is what's happening, how do we fix it? And then gluing them together and figure with the right solution. And because we don't know what we don't know, but the more people we get into the conversation about if it didn't work, why didn't it work, and which piece of it didn't work. So I don't know. I don't have enough details about your service thing, but that's another thing. They're either fearing it or they're judging it prematurely. But let's be honest, guys, when we have a new product, anything, even a BDC service, if I'm taking over your BDC and you only give me 60 days to be at optimal performance, then It's not
Well,
gonna happen. I
yeah, but
mean, we'll make progress, but you can't change what's been a certain way for a long time. Go ahead, Joe.
but at the same time, though, and we're going to wrap it up out of respect to everybody's time here. At the same time, though, the customers customers like what they like, and you can only influence the customer's opinion in to a degree, right? And you can only kind of accept if you're getting a lot of negative feedback on that. And that's one of the reasons why I asked how you measured it. If you're getting a lot of negative feedback on it, you don't want to lose customers over it. I mean, you just flat out don't, and you don't want to lose that. And there's too much money tied to everything else involved with that customer experience that you're going to take a risk on it. However, the time might not be right now, but it might be right in the future to go back and revisit it along with, to Wendy's point, all the proper setups and everything like that. It's not for everybody right now. That's for sure. I think it works. AI definitely works in some areas of the car dealership better than it does in others. And I mean, that's been evidence. It's great in parts. It's solid in BDC. On the service side, who knows? We're not there yet. It's good in the backside of service of the service department, but maybe not on the customer focusing front side in depth. Okay. Wendy, thank you so much. Wendy put her information on the chat. That was awesome. Hopefully everybody learned something out of this, something you can take away to use on Monday. Wendy, any parting words?
Just that you said the magic word yet. A lot of you aren't using it yet, but educate yourself. Join our human side of AI room at 11 a.m. Eastern on Clubhouse if you want to. We're going to move to a Zoom format in March so it can be more pointed and focused with guests and more of a webinar forum, like a 30-minute thing. So if you want to be on the calendar, by all means, reach out, but get information anywhere and everywhere that you can. And you may not be using it yet, but you probably will, because it's not going to go away. So just keep having the conversation, keep asking the right questions. And I'm sorry we could have covered a lot more, but if there's interest, maybe we'll repeat it and get more down deep and dirty into the topic. But I've got this toolkit I shared in the chat. I've got a couple other documents I'm happy to share. I don't think we're all on the WhatsApp channel. So if you don't get it from the WhatsApp channel where I'm going to send it, the back channel, then by all means, text me or email me and I'll send it right out to you. And then it's a document, the human side of AI PowerPoint that we add to every week. So we will help to educate you and we'll all grow stronger together. And thank you so much for having me, Joe. That's what I got.
Wendy, thank you. Everybody, thanks for joining us. And we'll hit this topic again soon. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good week.
You too.